Hello, welcome. Today I'm going to be reviewing Bob Dylan and the Outlaw Music Festival tour. Now, I saw the Outlaw Music Festival in June. I started making a video about it, and then I never finished editing it, and now it's a bit outdated. I'm still going to sprinkle sparse parts of that throughout this video. There's also been a lot of news since then, because that was the first leg of the tour, which, if you don't know, the Outlaw Music Festival is a festival. It includes Willie Nelson, Robert Plant, who used to be in there, but now is replaced by John Mellencamp, and another band called Southern Avenue, I believe, and then Bob Dylan, of course. And it's just a tour that's been going across America. So now, the Outlaw Music Festival is ending, and Bob is going to be restarting his Rough and Rowdy Ways tour, but in Europe. He's going to be doing a Europe tour, and in Germany, the Czech Republic, France, England. And he's going to be ending with 3 shows in the Royal Albert Hall in England, London. That sparks up some thought and discussion, because that was where he played in 1966 and 1965 and all those times ago. And it might be his last tour. Now, that's just me speculating. No one has said that, but it seems conclusive that if he was sprinkling all these cover songs from his prior playings in the Outlaw Music Festival, that this could be a nod to all the different parts of his career that he is talking about and kind of referencing, alluding to. Now, when I saw the Outlaw Music Festival back in June, Robert Plant, the singer of Led Zeppelin, played. Here are my thoughts about that. Of course, now the tour has replaced him with John Mellencamp in the second and third leg of the tour, but this is just what I thought of Robert Plant. I just saw the Outlaw Music Festival, featuring solists, I think I'm saying that right, Robert Plant and Alison Krauss, Bob Dylan and Willie Nelson and family. John Mellencamp, which I've seen before, has also be joining later this month to my knowledge, but I did not get to see him, unfortunately. Today I'll be reviewing the concert and delving into exactly what I thought about it. Obviously, I'm a Dylan fan, so I'll be a bit biased, but I will try to look at everything objectively. It's basically a bunch of old legends playing from a different time, and thousands of people sitting and enjoying themselves in an outdoor stadium. We were about 50 yards away or so not the closest, but still enjoyable. I got some videos to try to display without audio, and you can still imagine the songs. Make sure to subscribe, and without further ado, let's jump right into it. Robert Plant, the singer of Led Zeppelin, objectively was not that good. Now, don't get your jimmies in a twist, and can explain why it was a nice lullaby that put me to sleep. Now, they played 12 songs, and it took about an hour and 45 minutes long, a sizable performance. He was joined by backup band and Alison Krauss, a woman he's been touring with for a long time that looks like the lady from Shark Tank with one of those Roblox fashion show game amber-colored wigs on. They played 3 to 4 Led Zeppelin songs mixed throughout, 2 Everly Brothers covers, and then mostly solo music that no one had heard of. But the problem is this: I think people were generally going there to see Led Zeppelin, which no longer exists. Not Robert Plant, if that makes sense. He's just the vessel from which they're delivering Zeppelin songs. Out of Zeppelin, they played Rock and Roll, which is amazing, but for some reason had a violinist in the song. Now, don't get me wrong, their guitarists and violinists were awesome, but the violin just didn't fit in that song. They played Gallows Pole, which I also enjoyed, and seemed to end in a giant crescendo of music, which I always love. The Battle of Evermore and When the Levee Breaks, the other 2 Zeppelin hits, elicited crowd applause, but the rest of their set respectively was god-awful, and I'll explain why I think so. Every single other song on the set list sounded very similar. A slow drum line with whispering, singing, and overall slow pace, with Robert Plant shaking his hands about, singing while shaking maracas, clapping and snapping and whatnot. That's another thing. Plant didn't play an instrument. Now I get it, some singers just sing and they don't play. But you have to be able to hold your own without relying on your backup band to create the music in a concert for you. His singing, compared to Dylan's and Willie Nelson's voices, just didn't have any feeling in it. So as a result of him being rather emotionless and stale and just playing his own music, which I'm not shaming him for, it just came off poorly. It would have helped if his solo stuff was actually good, but I swear every song they played consisted of, like I said, the same beat with some action phrases like "write me a letter" or "help me do this," mixed in with some occasional lyrics like "baby, please don't leave me" or "won't you be my girl," in quotations. So basically what I'm saying is a solo singer who is coming from a well-known band has to be able to stand on their own outside of that band. Rod Stewart can stand on his own, but that's because he's a goated singer. Perhaps when Plant was part of a band, he had ideas to bounce off of so he could create better music as an artist. But Robert Plant cannot stand on his own with his own music, not having that foundation anymore, and at least live sucks. On top of having idle hands and just standing there swaying, singing, his girlfriend, although he denies it, Alison Krauss's voice is great, but she isn't even allowed to reach her full potential in the music she's given. This part of the Outlaw Music Festival is baiting people to buy tickets, thinking they're going to get a nostalgia trip of Led Zeppelin music, and instead they get a man with maracas trying to save his career and playing solo music, which is acceptable, that is, if it were good. A couple of cool songs were cool, but overall 2 out of 10. Not for me, half of the set put me to sleep. Now that the second leg of the Outlaw Music Festival is over, I've been keeping up to date on Instagram, particularly this account called False Prophet. I'll give them a shout out, and I'll read one post that they sent containing, basically summarizing what happened in the second leg of the tour. There's been 7 shows from Chula Vista, California to Georgia, Washington, 19 different songs, including 4 covers. 11 of these songs played at each show. Example, Under the Red Sky, Things Have Changed, Mr. Blue, Little Queenie, or Roman Kings. 2 songs played 4 times, Highway 61 Revisited or Hard Rain's Gonna Fall. He did play Hard Rain's Gonna Fall, and it was like, I mean, not when I saw him. I wish I heard him play that. He did kick it off with Highway 61, but I wish that he played Hard Rain. But, like, I guess the Hard Rain was a piano version, but I still think that's very emotional, and it's a very powerful song, if anything. So I'm glad that some people out there got to hear that. There was one song played 3 times, Rainy Day Woman 12 and 35. One song played 2 times, Spirit on the Water, and one song played only once, Scarlet Town. I did not hear Scarlet Town, Spirit on the Water, Rainy Day Woman, or Hard Rain, but that's real interesting that he switched up the set list. Now there's a guest harp player, Michael Raphael, during Simple Twist of Fate, but only played that on 2 shows. Lucas Nelson played guitar for 5 shows for 1 song, and also Bob wore a beanie for 2 shows, which I thought is very interesting, and it just shows he'll do whatever he wants. Now, 2 months ago, here's what I actually thought of the Bob Dylan show in real time. I mean, right after I saw the show, I wrote this, so this is my thoughts right after it happened. Y'all know I'm biased here, but this is my second time seeing Bob Dylan, and I must say it was as legendary as the first performance was as part of the Rough and Rowdy Ways tour that he put on, that this performance was definitely even better. The Rough and Rowdy's Way tour consisted of a static setlist and mostly songs from his new album that were released in 2020 that did not change for several years. So when Dylan started the Outlaw Music Festival tour, many were speculative of a setlist and what it could be after what he'd been playing was the same for so long. He came out in a whole new light in this summer show, stronger than ever for his age. He played his classic harmonica multiple times in addition to his piano that he was stuck on for the whole performance. This is great in comparison to Rough and Rowdy Ways, where he only played the harmonica once at the very end of the show in every grain of sand. He just seemed more energetic and lively than before, and Dylan actually enjoyed the show more. Another interesting fact is that the Yonder phone pouches were gone, and we were free to record Dylan doing his thing, but the main TV-style cameras at the top displaying Dylan never zoomed in for a close-up or stayed away at a distance, whereas for the other artists of the festival, they did have close-ups. I suspect this was Dylan's decision and made him even more mysterious and strange, in a good way. He opened with Highway 61 Revisited, which I was wondering how he'd pull off on the piano without the guitar riff, but they somehow did it and made it a very rock and roll and was a great kickoff to the show. He had the usual Dylan thing of not addressing the audience most of the time, but this time, he actually spoke a couple times and said thank you once, I believe. That might piss people off that he's not much of a talker, but I also think it makes it even greater because he just doesn't give a shit. He played Shooting Star of 1989's Oh Mercy, as well as Lovesick from 1997's Time Out of Mind. Now we come to the covers. He did some weird ones that were very random in the set list, such as Little Queenie from Chuck Berry and some random doo-wop blues songs. He played a Grateful Dead song, another one called 6 Days on the Road, which I'll explain why I think he played all these covers later on in the video. It's funny because normally it's other people covering Dylan songs, not the other way around. He played 2 songs in 2012's Tempest, which were enjoyable, and then Can't Wait from Time Out of Mind, which is definitely not a crowd pleaser. It was extremely slow, but I liked it because I'm also crazy. He played Under the Red Sky and Things Have Changed back to back. Now, much more familiar with Things Have Changed, and I was super excited for it as I had looked at the set list prior to the concert and knew he would play it. He sort of changed the melody to Things Have Changed, but not even in a bad way, in a Dylan-esque usual birthing of a new song by doing the same song over, and it was certainly breathtaking. It's hard to judge because I only heard Under the Red Sky, the other song, once as played in front of me, and it always sounds so different than the studio version. It was still a great arrangement, even though I was less familiar with that song. Now it comes to the oldies. Ballad of a Thin Man. He still got it after 83 years and can do it all. Now, a lot of people say he sucks because of his voice being very damaged, and to that, I made a whole video recently defending Dylan's voice. However, I did not address how much it has aged. The best thing I can say to that argument is that he injects feeling into his singing and a unique liveliness that, like no other, that it's still very enjoyable, even when his vocal quality at 83 is far from what it used to be. It's still witnessing a legend. So when he ended the show with Simple Twist of Fate, and I'll Be Your Baby Tonight, I knew it was going to be a tear fest. He changed up so many different lyrics to Simple Twist of Fate that I found myself chuckling to myself because he's simply crazy and a genius. After all these years since the 70s, he's still mixing and toying with that song as he does all these different songs. And it's just amazing to watch happen in action. I'll Be Your Baby Tonight somehow ended in a rock and roll sense theme when it's supposed to be mellow, and that kind of made it even the more better because it was unexpected. Overall, Bob Dylan, you could tell had a lot of fun performing, and as a viewer, I did too. 9 out of 10. Now, the other night, the third leg of that Outlaw Music Festival started, and Bob Dylan played Silvio, which is a song from 1988 that he hasn't played in about 20 years. Now, I don't know what prompted him to even play this song, but I think it's very humorous that he just played this out of nowhere. Some people think he might have been motivated to play that song because Barack Obama included it in his favorite summer songs playlist a few weeks ago, but it was just a big surprise, and I wasn't there, of course, because it happened in, Washington State or something, but it just happened, and I think he shows he's still willing. He's still got tricks up his sleeves, and him playing that out of nowhere is just, what? And now, finally, this is what I thought of Willie Nelson at the end of the Outlaw Music Festival tour, and what I thought of him. Willie Nelson was absent for the first 8 shows of the Outlaw Music Festival due to pneumonia, which I believe that's what happened. Don't quote me on that, but he is at the age of 91, and he wasn't able to perform due to doctor's orders. I caught one of the shows where he made an appearance recently, and he came out last as a group performance with his family. I've seen Willie Nelson before in 2021 at Farm Aid, so I knew roughly what the set list would be, mostly hits and other country doodads. And I'm not the biggest fan of Willie Nelson, but he's extremely famous, and this experience made me respect and enjoy him even more. Out of all the people at the Outlaw Music Festival, Willie Nelson most likely drew in the most tickets, and you could tell he was struggling to breathe at points. He would be sitting with his guitar, playing a couple songs, and then took a breather as his son Lucas Nelson sang some stuff, and then only then he would start back up again after a period of looking quite winded and tired. And Lucas Nelson was really good, by the way. His voice sounds exactly like his father's. So anyways, Willie Nelson played Still Moving to Me, Roll Me Up and Smoke Me When I Die, Mommies Don't Want Their Babies to Grow Up to Be Cowboys, On the Road Again, Always on My Mind, The Promised Land, some other fun tunes, which is pretty much what I expected. His show is actually shorter than Plant's or Dylan's, which is surprising, but they also went through each song rather quickly. I don't think they were just trying to get it over with, but I also think that Willie was definitely very exhausted from being on stage, and you can tell, he's struggling. At one point, they brought out his granddaughter, however, and she stood next to Willie, and it was very cool to see 3 generations of Nelsons. Also, the amount of respect for Willie Nelson was incredible. All these people, over 10,000, I'd say, just standing there, and you could hear a pin drop when Willie was playing. It was so quiet, just out of the utmost respect and sincerity for this amazing person, and I thought that was so sweet. His voice is instantly recognizable. His songs are so fun that even though I was pretty far away from him, it was jolly good fun, and I recommend it to anyone. 7 out of 10, just out of respect, even though I'm not the biggest fan. It sure was entertaining. Go see Willie Nelson. The Outlaw Music Festival has been going on for months. I just happened to catch one show of it. Now, John Mellencamp is awesome and definitely added to the show even though he wasn't there when I saw the festival. Of course, this video is Dylan-oriented, but this applies to all of the artists when I say that for a lot of these older guys doing tours, they need to keep going and pushing themselves to be active like this or they're not going to be around anymore. That's just kind of logic. For instance, retired people sometimes crash and burn when they don't keep busy. Now look at Willie Nelson. I hate to say this, as a lot of people love him, but he's not going to be around much longer, I feel. That's why it's so important to go out and see the legends now while they're still around and able to play music. Now, overall, would I recommend the Outlaw Music Festival? Well, that depends. Do you enjoy seeing actual legends in their natural habitat, minus Robert Plant, who I'm not the most keen on? Yeah, it was pretty cool regardless. Go out and support these artists. They are amazing, okay? Especially Dylan, but you know that. Subscribe.
My boy got ice, man. Big wrist. My boy chick might take risks. Around niggas got split. Just wanna be like my man Tucker.